Yo, yo. What's good? What's good? How's everyone doing? All right. Let's see what we got here. Y'all let me know if the music's too loud, it's too low. Just let me know something. But yeah, I'm gonna jump straight into it today. So I'm thinking I'll design something like inspired by like Frutiger Aurora, which is sort of this sort of look here from like Windows Vista. I've always liked the way that I've always liked this look, and thought maybe I'd just kind of like give it a shot, you know what I mean? I think it would be fun to mess around with. And I don't have any idea as to like what I'm gonna do in order to achieve this effect, so I thought maybe I'd just kind of like jump in and play around with some things, obviously like maybe I'll play around with like some gradient maps or something. Maybe I'll mess around with like, I don't know, with like some brushes in Illustrator. Charlie Pangus was good. We're making some designs inspired by Frutiger Aurora. This is some previous stuff that we've done like in the past. Sometimes for like design challenges or something. And then sometimes for like, just randomly designing something, just kind of whipping stuff up, But yeah. But yeah, bro. Appreciate you for swinging by, man. Much love, bro. I appreciate you for real. If y'all don't know, Charlie Pang is super talented merch designer, man of many talents right there. So yeah, make some good content over on YouTube, on Instagram also. So like y'all give my bro a follow, man, for sure. But appreciate you for swinging by, my guy. But yeah, maybe I'll just whip something up. I'm thinking maybe I'll start in like Illustrator with like some basic shapes, play around with some gradients and stuff. So yeah, let me just start cooking, you know what I'm saying? Let's see what we got here. So I like to start, if you know me, I don't like to start from a blank canvas. So we're just gonna open up some previous stuff that we've done. So let me just copy, maybe duplicate this right here. Let's get the vibes going right here. All right. Typical Adobe Illustrator hits me with a recovering from a crash prompt. We good. We good. We doing something new. Nothing was lost. So yeah, let's remove all of this. We don't need any of this. Actually, do want to keep my grids though. Let's try. Let's omit that. Actually, will I be able to keep the grid? I could just rotate it. That would honestly work. I wish you could just like rotate the artboard like from there. Let's just do it this way. That works out perfect. All right, All right. Okay, I may need to lighten my grid here. So let's do something around there, yeah? All right. Cool. This is a good little starting point. What's good, user 125? Is that like your do you like that name? Like you should switch that up if that's not like your IG name or something. Like want to call you by like your you know, I feel like user 125 isn't that good of a nickname for you. I know you got something way cooler. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this style like accurately or whatever. But I mean, yeah, I've always wanted to see how it's done too, so we'll just see if we can whip something up. But let's see here. Definitely could do like some sort of like warping sort of effect. I mean, honestly, could probably get away with just doing this entirely in Photoshop, to be honest. But let's start out with just like some basic shapes here. Maybe yeah, let's just, yeah, that's cool, that's whatever. Whoops. All right. If you're new here, I do majority of like everything in blue. It's just easy, you know. Don't have to worry too much about the color palette. I can just kind of like, you know, start designing, start whipping something up, you know. Well, we don't do everything in blue, you know what I'm saying? But best believe, like, you know, if I get the chance, I'm gonna design using blue. And it's like my brand color, you know what I'm saying? So let's use it. Let's do that. Yeah. What, is that not live update when I click that? Ah, that sucks. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect. We can always switch it up with a little gradient map goodness from Photoshop. Alright. Ooh, I like that. That's good. That's good. And so yeah, that's a pretty solid little shape there. I mean, I think this is pretty much all we'll need. But I did have some ideas of like how I potentially would do something like this. Let me see. Okay, could probably get like that white area there with like a difference of some sort. Let's see. Oh, I do not want to open Photoshop yet. So maybe like okay, you're 005. Okay, I recognize that name. Oh, to be obscure. And okay, I got you. I won't mention it no more. I remember you. All right. I mean, could do something like yeah, like something I mean, that's not exactly where we want to be, but you know, you can kind of, you see the vision, you know what I'm saying? You see the vision? Okay. Okay, this, I'm definitely gonna do this in Photoshop. Just wanna, hmm. I mean, I don't really need anything else other than that, to be honest. Let's see, okay. Yeah, this should be pretty easy. Samson says, "What app are you comfortable designing on aside Photoshop?" I mean, I can pretty much design in any program or any I can design on any platform. Um, Photoshop, obviously, Illustrator. Like I use Adobe Express like from time to time, like for client work, just because it's like way easier to just crank something out, like you know, before a flight, or like you know, if you just want to make like a quick little like flyer or whatever. Way easier to use Adobe Express, whip something up, bring it into Photoshop or Illustrator, add some texture, boom. Um, I've Some of my clients like use like Canva, and so comfortable doing the same in Canva as well. Just whipping something up in Canva, bring it into Photoshop, Illustrator, throw some texture on there, boom, done. Or sometimes they'll want it to be like completely editable because their marketing teams use Canva, and so yeah, I can design in Canva. You know, doesn't make a difference to me what it is. Pretty much, you know, it's all the same. At the end of the day, just pushing pixels and adding texture. All right, so let's do a. Actually, I'm gonna start from something that we already have actually. So let's do where is it? All right, there we go. Let's just like copy this. I don't know what this is about to be here, but let's just duplicate it. FC214 says, yo, what's good? What's good? Did you ever use the 3D option in Photoshop when it was around? No, absolutely not. I'd rather like, well, Illustrator had that like 3D classic. I think I would like default to just using that. I tried to use the 3D feature that was in Photoshop, but it is definitely archaic. I don't know if they've like put any more like TLC into it, but it definitely could use it for sure. All right, let's see what we got here. Samson says, "Thank you." Yeah, of course, bro. Anytime. If you have any other questions, feel free to fire away. Okay. Yeah, actually, I don't want to use this file. That file is a little chaotic. That's from last stream. We're designing like postage stamps inspired by MF Doom. Maybe I'll just pull this one. Hence why I have like an MF Doom sort of folder right here. Thinking if I do something like this and like, but with Photoshop and just like, you know, kind of pull this around a little bit. Maybe I need more points. You know, obviously it's gonna look better than this. All right, let's try this again. See what we got here. All right, what do we have here? All right, this is a decent file. Let's use this. All right. Maybe I'll just do we need the levels? Yeah, we can remove that. We can remove threshold. We can remove gradient map for now. We can get rid of. Well, this might actually make for some really cool effects. So let's just hold on to that. Let's make this like I don't know if we'll use texture for this, but yeah, I think this is a good solid starting point. Let's just do that right there. I think that's pretty decent. Doubt we'll need texture for this though, unless feel random and want to add some. So rotation. Samson says, career-wise, how did you stop certain clients from taking advantage of you and your works? Any advice? I mean, contracts, you know, just everything, you know, that you guys discuss, just get it in writing, or, you know, put it in a contract of some sort, have them sign off on it. And then, you know, whenever there's like you know, a hiccup or a snag, you know, just reference, hey, it's not what we talked about within the contract, and you know, just gotta kind of remind them. But yeah, is there anything specific you're running into with you know, dealing with clients and stuff? I feel like contracts pretty much just solidify like everything. I feel like it's the problem is when like you're like starting a project, or you start working on a project without putting any of that stuff in place. It gets kind of dicey, you know, especially if they have revisions and you haven't discussed with them, you know, how many revisions you get, or you don't necessarily have an idea of how much you charge per revision. So you gotta know all of that stuff ahead of time, work it into a contract so that you can always reference it. And, when did you figure out design was the one for you? Like pretty early on, I'd say. I always knew that I wanted to be like creative in some aspect, but yeah, I think I started doing graphic design before I knew it was actually design. And I've discussed this like a few times on stream, but like I started designing, like airbrushing, like you know, like Jumpman symbols on like t-shirts and whatnot, and then that turned into me sort of like designing t-shirts for like homecoming games for like high school and whatnot, and designing like family reunion shirts for friends and family and whatever. And I slowly like built up a portfolio from that stuff. One day we had a college fair in high school, and I just showed all of that stuff to like this recruiter, and they ended up giving me a scholarship to go to college for like design. But the person that actually like put me on to like what I was doing, it was just like, yo, like this is graphic design, like this is the term for this, was a buddy of my dad's who was doing graphic design at the time. and he kind of connected us, and that was kind of like my mentor like early on. So he kind of helped me put together some of the first pieces, like, you know, for my portfolio and stuff like that. FC214 says, have you ever checked out Seton Kim? He did the early 2K Xbox UX design. No, I haven't actually. I haven't. I'll have to check him out. Alright, so... Alright, where were we? Alright, let's just copy this. I think I'll pretty much be able to do whatever I'm going for with this one little shape right here. And maybe I'll just use the liquify tool. Historically, when using the liquify tool, Photoshop tends to crash on me. So let's see if if things have changed, you know. Okay, there we go. And then maybe I'll go ahead and throw like a little blending option on there, just to kind of get rid of the dark values. That seems, that's good right there. All right, maybe we'll duplicate this real quick and delete that one. So we've got a backup. All right, what have we got here? Okay. All right. That's kind of doing what I wanted to do right there. Okay. That's working. That works nicely, actually. Let's just let's copy that real quick and duplicate that so that we have a backup. Let's set this back to be like slightly normal, and let's work with this for a second. Samson says, I also agree, having a mentor is key. You're doing amazing, creating value. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Yeah, like I don't know if you're like in the Discord community and what that we've got going on and whatnot, but yeah, like I always say this to myself of like, I created that Discord community because, you know, it's a good place for everyone to give feedback, you know, share their designs and stuff, get some like early like feedback and whatnot. And when I was growing up, like I did not have a place to do stuff like that, and so you know, in whatever way I can help, you know, I'm looking for different ways to, you know, kind of bring value into the graphic design community. And you know, I feel like having that Discord community is as close of a mentor, having a mentor that you know, that you could have, like, if you don't know anybody, or like a designer that's like light years ahead of you, you know, that can kind of give you recommendations and whatnot. maybe smudge. Maybe smudge is what I'm looking for. Because liquefy is within its own like sort of window, I recall. I've been using Photoshop for like decades, and I'm still here, just like, just clicking through, just making sure I'm not missing anything, missing any updates. You never know, you know. All right, let's duplicate that. No, I don't think smudge is what we're looking for, actually. Okay, I think this is it's doing the thing. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Okay. Photoshop's definitely about to potentially crash. It won't even let me click on it to open it back up. FC214 says, even though it was brutal a lot of the times, the classroom and professor roast sessions really do help in the long run. Also, yeah, man, you got to develop like thick skin early on with design. Like, I mean, that's something that every designer has got to learn, is that, it's not wait, is this actually okay? I don't know what's going on with this. Oh, maybe it actually is crashing. But yeah, that's something every designer has got to like learn early on, is that, if you're working on a project for a client, you can't, and they don't like the design, you can't take it personal. Because at the end of the day, you're designing something for them, and I feel like as designers, we always tend to kind of like put our sort of heart and soul into everything that we create, and ultimately, the designs that we love the most, the client ends up, not wanting to go with that design and whatnot. But, at the end of the day, you're designing for them, so as long as they're happy, you should be happy. But the roast sessions definitely help. Like, okay, I guess I'll try and like I don't know if I can exit out of this. It's like I can't even close it. Let's see. Oh man, we were just about to start cooking too. I don't know how to like reset it. I've never ran into this. I wonder if I can force quit some way. Do you want to allow this device to make changes to it? No. Okay, let's see if I can. Let's see. There we go. Let's open it back up and see if it'll work for us. Man, Photoshop's gotta optimize that the smudge tool. Like, that was crazy. Okay, at least it recovered it though, right? All right, so let's duplicate this again. And maybe I'll do where's liquefy? Liquefy, where is it? Try out some random shortcuts. No? Maybe we can just do like a transform perspective warp or something. Maybe we'll try like this or something. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, we kind of cooking. Getting a little wild with it, but maybe it's a little too crazy. I think whatever that is right there is. Yeah, that is cooking. Okay, about right there, looks nice. That's pretty solid. Okay. All right, we getting somewhere. I was starting to have my doubts about this. Samson says, what's the maximum amount of designs you did in a day to deliver that blew your mind personally? I don't know. I've never really, let me see. That's a good question. I'll have to think about that one. I mean, there are times when, you know, I'll have a client and, you know, I make a flyer and, you know, not only is there a flyer for like the event, but then you've got like the event and maybe they have like, you know, guest speakers or like musicians or something, or, you know, they all want their own separate flyer to like post on Instagram and whatnot. And then what else? And then maybe they have like different days, you know, different themes for different days or something like that. I think like the same flyer but like slightly different formats. I think the most, you know, designs or flyers that I've done in a day, probably, let's say about I want to say maybe like 10 or 12. But you know, it's not difficult to do that stuff at all. It's just you know, just busy work at that point, you know, because you got your layout, you got your primary flyer, and you're just going in and just kind of changing out text here and there, which is you know, just throwing some music and just kind of get it done. Throw out some text, change some images. Pretty straightforward. We are kind of cooking right now. Hold up. Please don't. Okay, there we go. There we go. That sort of works. Let's do like then let's bring that there. All right, we getting somewhere. Let's go ahead and just set that up as draft. Then let's go ahead and save this as draft 02. Let's go ahead and duplicate that, hide those. All right, we're getting somewhere. Okay. Let's see. Maybe like pull back in one of these. Just sort of. Lower the nah, yeah. Nah, it kind of needs to be right there. Maybe there. Yeah, that's not really working like how I would expect it to. All right, let's merge these together, and then back over in like this area here is starting to look really cool. And that like tail end right there is like really nice too. So maybe something like that. Let's make it even bigger actually. This like section here is very nice. Let's let me figure out a way to position that. Decisions. I think that's pretty solid. And then maybe I can like erase like this little area here. I know this is like super small for y'all, I'm sorry. Samson says, is there a niche you don't feel comfortable / struggle a bit designing? Me personally, game / sport design. I mean, yeah, I definitely don't do a ton of like game or like sport design stuff. What did I just do? Okay, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with I'd say the majority of stuff. I mean, I feel like there are just kind of like common traits and like motifs within certain aspects and styles within design. And if you've never done it before, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be harder for you to grasp an understanding of, you know, what separates like, oh, an esports graphic from like, you know, a graphic that you're designing for like somebody like Apple or something, you know, two entirely like different aesthetics. You know, you're designing something for a basketball team as opposed to like Apple or something. You know, there are common traits and motifs within you know, the design languages for like the brands that kind of align themselves with you know, with like either sports or, you know, like, you know, like in Apple's case, like, you know, cell phone, like cellular devices and tech and whatnot. And so I feel like the hardest part is like, you know, if you've never designed anything for an esports team or like esports like brand or something before, then is figuring out like what separates it. So yeah, I've done a lot of stuff for like nonprofits. I've done a lot of like corporate design stuff. So I'm pretty comfortable with most stuff. Like I feel confident I can pretty much design anything in most aesthetics. Now, what is difficult to do is like when you're designing something that you think's look good, but like the person you're designing it for doesn't think that it looks good. Because at that point, it's like, okay, well, let me like try and understand like what it is that they're looking for within a design, and design something that I never in a million years would design. Um, like kind of stepping into your client's brain a little bit and trying to figure out like what it is they like. I think that's the part that you know that I would say I struggle with the most. But it's definitely something that it doesn't give me too much trouble. It's just all about repetition at that point. You know, when you're designing for a brand or something, like you're not gonna nail it like what it is that they want like the first time. You've got to kind of learn what it is that they like, and through repetition, you'll find, oh, they approve these projects the most, or oh, they tend to not like grungy aesthetic stuff. Oh, they like really clean like minimal design. Let me start leaning more in that direction. Or oh, they like it when I use halftone patterns or texture and stuff, so let me do more of that stuff. And so it's a lot of that, just figuring out what your client would do that sometimes you necessarily wouldn't do your own or do yourself. So yeah, that's the most trialing part. So okay, let me just copy. Actually, no, I kind of want to leave that extra noise. I feel like we're getting like some cool like random stuff that we haven't been paying attention to. Like this area here is like kind of looking sick. I don't know what's going on right here, but I mean we can figure something out. You know what I'm saying? So let me duplicate that. Dante's design was good with you, man. Anytime, Samson. Hopefully I wasn't like yapping too much. All right, yeah, let's just keep on using this here distort, this here warp tool, and whatnot. Transform, warp. All right, let's see. I might have to save this actually. Let me stop and just save this before I run into problems. Dante says, I wanted some insight on this, but I'm thinking of doing more spec work on minimalistic / cooperate style graphics because I was told my previous style wasn't as marketable. What would you say? What was your previous style? There's a market for everything out there, I take whoever told you that, I take their opinion with a grain of salt. Spec work on minimalistic. Who are the types of clients you're going for? See, yeah, I think this is like about to crash. I don't know if it's gonna give me a recovered file. Okay, there we go. Whew. Let's see. Let's go ahead and save this right here. And I'm making like something similar to this, like Just a poster of some sort, inspired by Frutiger Aurora. There we go. Oh, okay. Let's do that. Just save it as recovered. That's cool. I'd say I definitely needed more work compositionally and in other aspects, but overall my style wasn't defined at all. I kind of just made what I felt for the most part till recently. Yeah, drop some of that stuff in the Discord and tag me. I'd have to see it in order to kind of give you some additional insight. But clients do like to see. I feel like nowadays, clients definitely do like to see like a theme like within your portfolio, and if you don't have exactly what they're looking for, if they can't point to something in your portfolio and say, yeah, make me something like what you did there, then I feel like nowadays it's gonna be a little bit harder to convince a client that you're like the right person for the job. Samson says, funny question, how do you leverage AI to your design process, if you do? I use stuff like I use like Chat GPT to like do a lot of like just help me with like word mapping and like copywriting and stuff like that. Sometimes I honestly even like drop a design in like to Chat GPT and just say like, give me feedback on this, or you know let me know how this looks or something like that. It honestly like gives me some good feedback on like certain things like whenever I'm designing. But other than that, I don't really like, I don't really use like a ton of like AI. I just really haven't found like a solid use case for it. Like other than like generative fill, like I use that. Like I like working with stuff that's like that like integrates seamlessly with what I already do. Like I'm not going out of my way to like do anything else other than that. Like for expanding the background, cool. Like let's do generative fill, like quick, easy. Integrates already with what I'm accustomed to. There is a cool platform that I use for like YouTube videos and stuff, because I'm not like an expert, like I'm not a filmmaker or cinematographer or anything, and so usually when I'm like shooting footage, a lot of the times I like go to edit and it's like hella grainy, and so I found this thing called let me see what the name of it is. It's like a topaz video, and it just like completely omits like all the grain like from your footage, which is like super helpful for me, and not being a filmmaker and whatnot, or a cinematographer, and not having the best lighting equipment, or not knowing what like ISO settings to use. So I like stuff like that. I'm not like super into like AI, but it is something that we've gotta live with now, whether we like it or not, to be honest. Dante's Design says, my main issue was needing more references, like testimonials, or I don't yeah, like are you talking about references like testimonials, or like reference points within your work, like a reference as in they're looking for a specific style, but like they haven't they don't see it within your work. Okay. Okay. I don't like how that. Oh, okay. That looks solid. I don't like how when I zoom out, that little area right there starts kind of banding. But when I zoom in, it's cool. I wonder what happens if I like throw like oh, that beat came in hot. Let me turn that down a little bit. There you go. Not in the sense of more, but better like what I pull from. Oh, okay, I see. Like on Pinterest, it's a lot of things, but I started leaning more to Behance to pull from. Yeah, you've gotta drop me some of your work in the Discord whenever I'm free. I'll give you some feedback on it. Let's try playing with that little area there. Actually, this looks kind of cool. That looks nice. That's pretty solid on normal. Maybe I'll put it on top of that to see if we get like yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That sort of linear dodge sort of look right there. Let me just throw that in. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. I wonder if I like okay. I don't want it to look too crazy. I mean, so let's go back here. What if I do that, but then do just to brighten it up a little bit and make it then we could throw our gradient map over the top here. And oh, I kind of like the white background, to be honest. Okay, that just helped brighten that up a little bit, so let's just merge. Well, if I merge layers, it might not. Oh yeah, this stays perfect. And then User 125 says, had to take a break to do some stuff. This looks great. I appreciate it, man. I have no idea like how we got to this point, but we here. Samson says, let's talk about getting clients as someone new into graphic design. Aside posting our works, is cold outreach a good way to get clients? I feel like you can do cold outreach, but like, you know, I know everyone says this, but you know, there's no better way to get clients, you know, than to get a direct reference from someone, or you know, or get referred from somebody. So there we go. That's looking a little better. Yeah, you can do cold outreach, but you know, it's gonna be difficult for sure. And then, you know, if you do get a client through cold outreach, you know, those clients are gonna be fleeting, you know. So you know, you just gotta keep that in mind, you know. But you know, someone that comes to you off a recommendation, you know, like you kind of have security there in knowing that, you know, someone's already put in a good word for you. Like you know, there's a supremacy filter that's already existing there, where they know, you know, from, you know, a friend, you know, or a friend of a friend or whatever, that, you know, they know that you do good work. So, you know, they're not going to be looking for anybody else. Like, but if you do like cold outreach, you know, and you get a client that way, like you know, they could potentially you know, look for other options. But a client that's like coming to you based off of a referral, like those are the best ones, you know. So I would recommend, like, you know, if you're doing any design work for anybody, like currently or like in the future, like always ask for a referral if you can. And say, you know, like, hey, like, you know, do you happen to know anybody else that's, you know, that like you, that could use graphic design help? You know, like, you're kind of my ideal client. I love to work with more people that are just like you. And you know, at that point it's kind of like a challenge for them, because they're like, oh, like, yeah, let me see if I know somebody, you know. Then they'll go out, you know, find somebody, you know. Oh no, Nightbot is tripping. Yeah, Nightbot is bugging. Has that happened to you before, User 125? Or was that someone else? I think I had to fix that for someone. I don't know if it was you. Okay, actually, yeah, let's go back. That looks pretty good, to be honest, but let's duplicate it always. And then kind of want to, where is this layer? Don't really need that. This is honestly like pretty close to being done. Should we try like a different color variation maybe? I wish I could apply a different color to just these. Maybe I could. No, that's got to be on top. Well, actually, I could let's throw a black background in here and throw that in there. Oh, actually, okay. I need both of those, and then let's throw okay. Okay, maybe I can do a layer above this and clipping mask, color. But it's gonna apply color to this. Okay, so this needs to go in a separate group. This needs to go there. Then create clipping mask. No? Maybe I can just maybe just no. Okay. Dante says just sent in the critique chat. All right, bet. I'll look at it when I get off because I don't have Discord on this PC build here, so I'll check it out whenever stream's over. Samson says, what is your favorite typeface and worst typeface? My favorite typeface is definitely gonna be Druk condensed, like super like bold or something like that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite typefaces there. It's the typeface that I used like early on. I think back in like well, I still use it, but like whenever I was making like kind of the posters for like anime like characters and different like rap artists, like that was the typeface that I'd use for a lot of those posters. And like people seem to really enjoy them, so you know, I like that typeface. And then worst typeface? I don't really have a worst typeface, to be honest. Yeah, I don't really, I'll have to give that one some thought. Yeah, see, I could say Comic Sans, but you know, I don't think Comic Sans deserves to just catch a stray, you know, just because it's the first thing that comes to mind. But that's like the typeface that everybody, you know, like next to Papyrus and all of, you know, just because I don't use them doesn't mean I hate them. I'm trying to think of a typeface that I've like tried to make work before, or that a client has, you know, like wanted me to use or something that I just couldn't get to work. He said he's never messed with you before to answer the question. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Nightbot. With Nightbot. Let's see. Yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to like add some color into this. Let's just see here. Like, I'm worried that if I just color it, you know, it'll just color the background too, which is, you can see it happening there. I mean, I could do something like, okay, so let's try grabbing that and that, and then okay, that almost worked. I mean, it kind of does work, but okay, let's go to over reliable and blend modes here. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Something like something very subtle. I don't want to change the color of the background there. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. Honestly, might be able to just remove this completely now. Might have to make that a little more forgiving. And yeah, let's erase all of that. Do I want to do like red, or do I want to do like maybe black, something like that. How long will the time out last? I'm not sure. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe, but definitely not like longer than, you know, like definitely not too long. I'll have to jump in there and like fix it and whatnot, but it shouldn't be too long. Wait, actually, luminosity is like kind of doing something there. Difference, penlight is doing something. Let's do penlight. Let's see what we can cook up with that. What about a color overlay, a layer style? I can't because it's I've got the gradient map there. And so like without the gradient map, it's like, you know, it looks like pure garbage. But with it, you know, we're doing something. So yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get that to work. All right, let's try like, actually, let me do like let's do a solid color, and then let's make this black. That's on pin light. Yep. Pin light. I want to be able to color in where I sort of want this to go. So let's do, oh yeah, I've got to set this back up. Whoa. Test. Oh, yep. Yep. All good. All good now. Yeah, I barely understand the setup myself, to be honest. I think like a faint color like this would actually work better. Like something like that, maybe. Let's try that and just kind of like the green. Like if this was a blue tint green, it would look like a Autodesk splash screen. I kind of like something around here. Yeah, let's try something like that out. I mean, it really doesn't need it, but I kind of added like a little something to it. Yeah, sure. Let's leave it so we can move on to something else. Kind of want to play around with this a little bit more. Maybe we'll duplicate this and cut that off and submerge layers. Hopefully it doesn't crash. All right. Cool, cool, cool. I wonder what happens if we try like I don't know, like a curves adjustment or something on this. Oh yeah, now we're getting it's interesting. Some interesting effects there. Hmm. Yeah. Maybe stick to the script. Hmm. I kind of like how that's looking. Hmm. Bond Shawty. What's good? What's good? Samson says, when charging a client, do you charge based on the project value or do you have a price rate card you follow? Any advice? I mean, it changes from client to client, pretty much. But yeah, the way I work is I work on under a. I only like to work under retainers, and so I have like a set amount of projects that you get, like you know, for the month, you know, so like maybe like 5 projects a month, like under like set price per month. But you know, sometimes it like changes depending on the client's budget. But you know, I mean, if it's a really, if it seems like it's gonna be a cool project, then I'll work with the client, but I try not to like take on any projects that are under like 12 or 1500. I feel like it's kind of hard to, let me see. Do you charge based on the project value or do you have a price rate card you follow? I feel like it's hard to kind of, it's difficult to charge based on the project value because you know, you don't know what the value of the project is to your client, so you pretty much, so yeah, you gotta figure out like how much the client is willing to invest within the project. And if it's below kind of like how much you want to be paid for a project, then you just kind of gotta pass it off, or figure out ways to cut down on the scope of the project in order to make it fit within the price range that they're looking for. Samson says, but how do you prevent burnouts then? I only work with like a few clients at a time, like upwards of maybe like 5 or like 7 clients. So I have a cap on how many clients I'll choose to work with. Once About says all I ever got was $45. Man, we gotta fix that. We gotta change that. We gotta charge more, bro. With every project you do, you should be trying to like just increase your rates like just a little bit, I feel like if you don't do it that way and you just randomly start like saying like, okay, I'm gonna charge $5,000 for like this brand like identity package, I feel like that's when sort of the anxiety kicks in, because you're like, wait, nobody's buying, but you've got to figure out like the threshold, when you increase your rate, like increase it by a little bit to see what people are willing to pay. And if you find that you increase your rate and you stop getting as many hits, your rate might be just a little too high for your ideal client. So that's why it's good to just do it in increments with every project. I feel like I've been working on this for a little minute. I mean, it's ultimately kind of done to me, to be honest. Whoa. Maybe I'll make it like, there we go. Let's see, maybe I'll just try something random. Let's see like what it looks like with what do I want to try? Could throw a little grain on it, throw a little grain on it, throw a little texture on it, call it a day. What did that do? Nothing at all. Let's duplicate this. Drop that back in there because that looks pretty bad. Blending options. just a little bit of noise, just a little bit. Then I gotta throw some texture on there. That's not the right one. That looks solid. Actually, it honestly might look better without the texture. Let's just keep it as like, you know, like a garnish, you know. Just throw some in the background there. Nobody will see that. You know, it's just like, you know, some random little garnishes, some random little leaves that a chef throws on your plate. There we go. Should we add some text maybe? Just to, like, you know, call this a poster? LT Wave, Micro, Grandma. Samson says, outside of design, what do you do for fun? Outside of design, what do I do for fun? I'll play like, lately I've been playing like Marvel Rivals, like with my homies and whatnot. So that's cool. Go to like art museums, stuff like that, you know. But I don't know. I don't do much. Pretty simple guy. There we go. Nah, let's throw like Windows Vista in the corner or something. Windows 11 with Windows Vista. That's solid there. Maybe throw like a little date on there or something. Honestly, that's kind of tough, just the date, just like maybe bleeding off the edge, so like you know, sort of makes things look a little more interesting. Nah, I'm tripping. Just throw it in the corner. How it'll look with or should this be like here? actually just like it like that. Samson says chill guy. Yeah, I just be chilling, man. Like, honestly, like, this is probably like one of the funner things that I do for real. Like, you know, I've dedicated my whole life to design. There's nothing I love to do more than this right here. User125 says you're probably right about pricing. I think if I charged more, I'd be taken more seriously as well. I think my work is worth more than $30 currently. Yeah, definitely, bro. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just give it a shot, you know. I mean, if you can, like, I would try like refraining from like being the first to name a price. I feel like you should always kind of just like see what, you know, your client can afford first. And then if it's something that doesn't work for you, then just say like, hey, you know, like for something like this, I usually charge this. Like, let me know, you know, if that's, you know, within your budget range or if that's too much. Like, just let me know how you're feeling. But yeah, I think this is our design right here. Let me try moving it over there. Yeah. How do we do? Okay. Here is the let's pull up the previous. All right, here's the inspo. Here's what we whipped up. I think it looked pretty solid, to be honest. I might have to do some more of these, just like in my free time. Hell yeah. All right, y'all. Well, it's been real. We almost 2 hours in. I'm gonna hop off. I'll be on, you know, similar time next Sunday. Yeah, y'all let me know if y'all like later streams, like or if y'all like streams that are like more like in the middle of the day. Like, I usually stream at like 7 p.m. like Central Time, but I feel like people are like, you know, more active around like 3 p.m. Central Time. So yeah, we'll see though. Yeah, appreciate y'all for dropping through, you know what I'm saying? Thank y'all for rocking with me. We out. Peace.